I like to say that this monkey only knows a few tricks. Maybe if I had a few more teachers like this one, things would have been different. The public school I went to was a very rich public school, and my family lived way out on the very corner of the district and out in the poor farmer area. We were poor, like Kenny McCormick type poor. But I had to go to school there, and it was a good education. One day I got to walk in holding a 12 gauge and pull up and shoot and shoot and shoot again, like 14 out of 16 to hit the target. But it was cool because, my favorite teacher was standing right there. That's who I was getting the rounds from. So what happens is environmental science teacher, and this is in the late 80s, mid and late 80s, when environmental science isn't really even a thing, except for in California. And even then, that's just something weirdos did. People recognize that you needed habitat loss as a problem, and that you have to maintain the herds, which means you have to do selective hunting and selective timbering and all that to properly maintain a forest. People weren't stupid. But that also means that guns are part of that equation. So to be an environmentalist, you have to be willing to hunt. Otherwise, you're not an environmentalist. So to do guns, we had an environmental science teacher who, one of the classes we covered was skeet shooting. So mind you, this is in a public school, on public school grounds, and we're shooting 12 gauges. I'm assuming that would not be allowed today, because there's a table and there's with him and 12 gauge and the one shooter standing there and puts the round in pole and the skeet pops up and you shoot it. And then you can get another round and do it again. But there was really nothing to keep any student from turning around and aiming at the crowd of other students or the teacher himself or even pulling a Kurt Cobain, And that's probably why they don't allow people to do that now. But at the time, that was the first time I ever got to shoot a 12 gauge. I was fucking natural at it, like a duck to water, let me tell you, man. 14 out of 16 hit the shot, hit the skeet. That's better than the teacher did. He shot at 12 and he only got 3. So, it helps. I'm good with a BB gun and had a 22 and we lived out there. If you're poor, all you got to do is shoot. Bullets are cheap entertainment at that point. Bullets and some cans or some bottles are excellent because they explode. But anyway, I digress. So we're out in environmental science area, and this is part of the school grounds, and we have a large environmental science area. On this environmental science area, there was nature trails, and summertime you could get extra credit if you volunteered to wheelbarrow wood chips all day for a month. It was 100 hours of work and you got an extra half credit of school credit or something dumb. I did it just because, I'm not going to pass up free education. I wanted to get the fuck out of being poor. So we did that. The environmental area also had a pond, which had a dock and water, and we'd pull out slides of the water and look at the shit growing and moving in the water and realize there's way more life in pond scum than there is in the jungle and mammals. So, that was kind of neat to see and actually see as a kid, and I learned a lot from that there's more going on than you can imagine. And we did other actual real science where you had to measure the trees, had to put a stake in the ground, run a string out, and every tree you hit that was over a half-inch diameter, you had to measure the diameter, mark its angle on the compass and how far out the string it was, up until 20 feet, and do the entire circle and every tree in that circle around the 20 feet and mark it out on a graph. And then you knew by doing snapshots of your forest like that, you could tell how your forest is growing over time. Now I imagine they just fly a satellite overhead and take a picture and you're done. But hey, that's what they did back then. So if you don't have satellites, that's how you do it. Let's see what else. The pond was real nice. I guess later on someone spilled some mercury in it, one of the other seniors, as a prank or something, and so they had to bulldoze all that in. It's solid now. We did have, right next to where we were shooting skeet, we built a rappelling tower. That will be in another story here we're going to talk about. Because, yeah, jumping off a hand-built rappelling tower with a rope. Insurance, what? Doug Waldman is his name. He's the best teacher I ever had. Remember, whenever shooting, you have to shoot where it's going to be, not where it's at. That's the key. And with that, puff, puff, pass, no park on the grass, I'm out of here. Doug Waldman is his name. That's who I was getting the rounds from. Best teacher I ever had.